Questions. Today I want to speak about something that connects all of humanity, no matter where you live, what you earn, or who you know. Something so common that if life was a university, questions. This subject would definitely be compulsory for all semesters. Tough times. And when tough times come, they don't send a message, "Hello, I am arriving tomorrow at 4 p.m. Questions. Please keep tea ready." No, they come uninvited, unannounced, and often unwanted. But there is a secret. Maybe we cannot stop tough times from coming. Questions. But we can learn how to relax even inside them. And that is what I want to talk about today. Have you ever seen a pressure cooker? Questions. It makes this sound, tessus, tessus, tessus. Something similar happens inside us during tough times. Questions. Deadlines, expectations, heartbreak, finances, relationships, health, all of it builds pressure. And we start releasing emotional steam, anger here, frustration there. Questions. Irritation everywhere. But a pressure cooker doesn't burst because it has a valve. We also need a valve, a way to release our mental pressure safely. Questions. Today we'll explore how to find that valve so even in tough phases we stay cool, composed, and calm. Once I sat in a car with a driver who seemed extremely stressed. I asked questions. What happened? He said, "Sir, traffic is too much, deadlines are too many, and I am tired." I asked him, "Where are we going?" He paused and said, "Sir, I don't know." Questions. "You haven't told me yet," I said. "Exactly. Without a destination, even a good driver becomes stressed. Or in life too, we often drive fast but without clarity. Then we feel restless." Questions. Directionless and overwhelmed. Relaxation begins where clarity begins, not outside. Inside. Tough times are not a punishment, they are a process. A process that slows us down, shapes us. Questions. Strengthens us and teaches us. The storm outside is temporary. But the person you become after the storm, that's permanent. Sometimes people think, questions, "I will relax when I go on a vacation." But if your mind is overloaded, you can sit next to the most beautiful beach in the world and still argue with yourself. Questions. Relaxation does not come from the scenery, it comes from our inner energy. When the mind rests, the world looks beautiful. When the mind is restless, even heaven looks stressful. In tough times, questions, the first thing we lose is control over our reactions. Practice a simple rule of pause before you proceed. A 2-second pause can save a 2-year problem. When you pause, you don't lose time. Questions. You gain peace. When life is tough, we usually talk to ourselves like an enemy. What is wrong with you? Why can't you handle it? Questions. You are useless. But talk to yourself like you would talk to a close friend. It's okay. You're trying. You'll get through this. Questions. I am here with you. Gentle conversations with yourself create tremendous inner relaxation. We try to control everything, people, situations, outcomes. Questions. Timeline is, but tough times teach us a beautiful lesson. When you cannot control the situation, control your surrender. Shift from fear to faith, from panic to patience. Questions. When the bird sits on a weak branch, its trust is not in the branch but in its wings. Trust your wings. When you are going through difficult phases, the mind suffocates in negativity. Questions. Gratitude is the oxygen that clears the mind. Take 30 seconds every day and ask, what is still good in my life? Because tough times often make us blind to the blessings we still have. Questions. Gratitude does not remove pressure, but it increases capacity. When you are stressed, talk to people who don't make the problem bigger, but make you bigger than the problem. Questions. Who you talk to determines how you think. How you think determines how you feel. And how you feel determines how you face tough times. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your strength. Questions, not your weakness. Questions. Tough times are like the unexpected rain in the middle of a sunny day. You step out confidently thinking, today is perfect. And suddenly the sky decides to test the strength of your umbrella. Questions. But the interesting thing is, no matter who you are, where you come from, how rich or poor, how educated or uneducated, everyone gets drenched by life's sudden rain at some point. Questions. Tough times are universal. They don't ask for permission, they simply appear. And yet, even though they are common, something powerful is hidden within this truth. They are also manageable. Questions. Think of a simple example from daily life. Imagine a mother who wakes up early every single morning. She cooks, cleans, prepares the kids for school, handles the household, maybe even works a job. Questions. Some days are smooth, but some days, oh, those days everything collapses at once. The milk spills, the child cries, the pressure cooker whistles like a rocket. Questions. And the school bus is already honking outside. It feels like a mini world war in the kitchen. But notice something, she doesn't give up. She breathes, wipes the floor, manages the child. Questions. Switches off the stove, ties shoelaces, and sends everyone off. She does it not because she has superpowers. Questions. But because tough moments are part of her everyday life. And she has learned to handle them with patience and strength. Or look at students. Exams, assignments, parent expectations, peer pressure, questions, self-doubt. Sometimes everything piles up. You study hard and still the result doesn't match your effort. Or you prepare well and suddenly you forget everything in the exam hall. Questions. It feels like your brain has decided to take a vacation at the exact moment you need it the most. But even then, students rise again. They study again. They try again. Questions. They move forward because they instinctively know the tough phase is not their final destination. It is just a passing station. The truth is, tough times don't come to stop you. Questions. They come to stretch you, to increase your inner capacity. Nothing grows in comfort. The seed has to go through complete darkness before it breaks the soil and reaches the sun. Questions. The diamond has to go through tremendous pressure before it shines. The gold has to go into the fire before it becomes pure. And similarly, we too are refined by the difficult phases of life. Questions. Let's take another daily life example. Imagine you are learning to drive. The first few days are chaos. Your hands shake on the steering wheel. Questions. Your eyes move left, right like a traffic police officer, and your heart beats faster than the car engine. But slowly with practice, what once felt difficult becomes manageable. And what changed? Questions. Not the roads, not the traffic, not the car. Only you. Your ability increased. In the same way, tough times don't always change. But you change. Your strength grows. Your faith deepens. Questions. Your patience expands. Your understanding becomes sharper. Sometimes the difficulty is not in the situation. The difficulty is in thinking. Questions. Why is this happening to me? But if we shift the question to, what is this teaching me? Suddenly the burden becomes lighter. Think of your smartphone. When the system becomes overloaded. Questions. What do? You restart it. When an app crashes, you update it. When the battery drains, you charge it. You don't throw the phone away. You simply manage it. Life is similar. Questions. When situations overload, you pause. When emotions crash, breathe. When energy drains, rest. You don't need to abandon life, you only need to manage it better. And remember, questions. Tough times are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. Just as night always ends with sunrise, winter always ends with spring, and storms always pass. Questions. Your difficult moments too are destined to change. No pain stays forever. No challenge is eternal. Even the darkest clouds eventually run out of rain. Think of a rubber band. Questions. It only works when stretched. If you leave it unstretched, it provides no purpose. But when stretched, it becomes useful. Similarly, tough times stretch us, not to break us, questions, but to make us more capable. Another example, have you ever tried lifting weights in the gym? The first few days your body aches, your muscles scream, questions, and you feel like complaining to the trainer that this is torture disguised as fitness. But after a few weeks, something magical happens. The same weights that once felt impossible become easy. Why? Questions. Not because the weights changed. Your strength increased. Life's challenges act the same way. They strengthen your emotional muscles. They teach you patience, resilience, faith, gratitude, questions, and inner courage. You may not realize it today, but every tough day is secretly shaping you into a stronger version of yourself. So remember this, tough times are not a sign that life is unfair. Questions. They are a sign that life is preparing you, because you cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. The next time life feels heavy, instead of thinking, questions, why is this happening? Remind yourself this is common, this is human, this is manageable, and this too shall pass. You have survived 100% of your bad days so far. Questions. And you will survive this one too. Tough times may visit, but they don't get to stay unless you give them permission. You are stronger, wiser, and more capable than the problems you face. Questions. And once you realize that, relaxation naturally begins to grow in your heart. Questions. Clarity is like sunlight. When it enters a dark room, everything becomes visible. Where the furniture is, what you should avoid, and which direction you can move easily. But if the same room is dark, questions, even simple steps feel dangerous. You might bump into something, hurt yourself, or feel lost. In the same way, when life gets dark with confusion, even small decisions begin to feel heavy. Questions. Even simple tasks seem stressful. But the moment clarity enters your mind, life becomes lighter, smoother, and more peaceful. Confusion is one of the biggest sources of stress in modern life. Questions. More than pressure, more than work, more than challenges. It is confusion that drains us. Confusion about what to do, how to do it, where to go, whom to trust, and what to prioritize. Questions. And the funny thing is, most people are not tired because they work too much. They are tired because their mind is scattered in too many directions. Imagine you are driving a car. Questions. And suddenly the GPS stops working. The road looks unfamiliar, the turns feel suspicious, and every minute you keep thinking, am I going the right way? Even if the distance is short. Questions. The journey feels stressful, but the moment the GPS starts working again and shows a clear direction, you relax, even though the road is the same. Life works similarly. Questions. Tough times become tougher when the mind has no direction. But when you gain clarity, you gain confidence, courage, and calmness. Think of a student preparing for exams. Questions. If the student knows exactly what to study, which chapters are important, and how much time they have, the preparation becomes focused and efficient. Questions. But if the student is confused, books open everywhere, no plan, switching from one chapter to another, the stress levels rise instantly. The problem is not the syllabus. Questions. The problem is the lack of clarity. Take a simple example from daily life: cleaning your room. If you don't know where to start, everything looks messy. You stand there thinking, questions. Should I pick up the clothes first or the books? Should I clean the desk or the floor? And because you're unsure, you delay, procrastinate, and feel overwhelmed. Questions. But if you plan your steps, first clothes, then books, then table, then sweep, the same messy room becomes manageable. Not the mess, your clarity. Confusion is like driving in fog. Questions. You move slowly, you fear accidents, and every small bump feels huge. But clarity is like switching on the fog lights. Suddenly the path ahead becomes visible. Let's take a deeper example. Questions. Suppose someone is going through a tough relationship phase. The partner is distant, communication is inconsistent, arguments happen frequently. Questions. The real pain doesn't come from the disagreement. It comes from not knowing what the relationship truly stands for. Should you hold on? Should you let go? Should you give more? Should you step back? Questions. This confusion creates emotional stress far more than the actual fights. In contrast, if both people sit down, talk honestly, define what they want, and understand each other clearly. Questions. The relationship becomes peaceful, even if challenges still exist. Clarity doesn't remove problems, but it removes the emotional noise around them. Questions. Now imagine your phone battery suddenly drops to 1% stress, but the stress is not because the battery is low. The stress happens because you don't know where the charger is. Questions. The moment you find the charger, even before the battery increases, your stress decreases. That is the power of clarity. Clarity doesn't mean knowing the entire future. Questions. It simply means knowing the next step. Many people think clarity means having a full map of life, but true clarity is much simpler. It is knowing what to do today, what to avoid today. Questions. Where to focus today. When you take care of the present step, the path ahead begins to reveal itself. Think of climbing a staircase. You don't need to see the entire staircase. Questions. You only need to see the next step, and step by step you reach the top. If you stand at the bottom thinking, what if there are too many steps? What if I get tired? Questions. What if I fall? The confusion will paralyze you. But if you take one step with clarity, the journey becomes smooth. Let's look at another everyday example. Questions. Suppose you go to a supermarket with no list. You walk around for an hour, pick random things, forget essentials, overspend, and leave tired. But if you go with a clear list, you finish quickly. Questions. Buy exactly what you need, save money, and leave peacefully. The supermarket didn't change, your clarity did. Life becomes easier not when problems disappear, but when the mind becomes clear. Questions. When we lack clarity, we overthink. We imagine problems that don't exist. We fear outcomes that may never happen. We drain our mental energy on what if scenarios that only produce anxiety. Questions. Clarity removes the unnecessary noise and allows the mind to relax. Clarity brings 3 gifts to one direction. You know where to go. Then focus, you know what matters. Questions. Atham peace, you stop wasting energy on confusion. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Work stress, relationship issues, financial challenges. Questions. Emotional struggles. Your first step is not to solve everything. Your first step is to gain clarity. Because when clarity enters the mind, relaxation follows naturally. Questions. Just like calmness follows after a storm, confusion might cloud your vision for a while, but clarity clears the sky, lights the path, and brings peace back into your heart. Questions. Relaxation is often misunderstood. Most people think relaxation means lying on a beach, going to a hill station, sleeping longer, or taking a break from work. But if the mind is overloaded, questions, even the softest bed feels hard. Even the most luxurious vacation feels empty. Even the most delicious food taste is bland. And even the most peaceful place feels noisy. Questions. Because true relaxation does not come from where you are. It comes from who you are inside. Think about your mobile phone. You can buy the most expensive phone in the world. Questions. But if you overload it with too many apps, it will still hang. The brand doesn't matter. The price doesn't matter. The design doesn't matter. Inside matters. Similarly, questions. You can decorate your life with comfort, luxury, entertainment, and convenience. But if inside your mind there is restlessness, confusion, fear, or overthinking, nothing outside can give you peace. Questions. Imagine someone sitting on a beautiful beach. The waves are calming, the sunset is stunning, and the weather is perfect. But inside their mind, they are replaying stressful conversations, questions, worrying about work, or feeling insecure about the future. Will the ocean silence their thoughts? No. The outside world is peaceful, yet the inside world is noisy. Questions. That is why true relaxation cannot be outsourced. It must be grown internally. Let's take a simple everyday example. Questions. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you sit in your own room? Your favorite place, your comfortable bed, soft pillow, soothing lights, and yet you cannot relax? Because relaxation is not a location. Questions. It is an emotion. Your bed may support your body, but only your inner stability can support your mind. Another example, think of a child. Give them a small toy and they laugh wholeheartedly. Questions. Give them a big toy and they laugh the same way. They don't need the perfect toy, they need the perfect state of mind. Light, innocent and present. Their joy comes from inside. Questions. Not from what they hold, but as adults we reverse the equation. We think bigger belongings equal bigger happiness. But inner peace doesn't operate on that formula. Questions. There is a story of a billionaire who bought a luxury yacht to escape stress. He thought cruising in the ocean would heal his anxiety. But on his first trip, questions, he received an email about a business issue. His heart started racing, his mind started spinning, and he realized something life-changing. The ocean is calm. Questions. But I am not. That realization shook him more than any storm could. Now let's look at the opposite scenario. A simple middle-class bus conductor who earns modestly, wakes up early, questions, smiles at passengers, enjoys his tea breaks, and sleeps peacefully at night. His life isn't filled with extraordinary comfort, but he walks with a kind of internal ease many wealthy people envy. How? Questions. Because peace is not about having more, it is about worrying less. True relaxation comes from three inner strengths: emotional balance, mental clarity, and spiritual grounding. Questions. A person who has mastered these can stay calm even in chaos. Just like a tree, when the roots are deep, the storm may shake the branches but cannot uproot it. Questions. Outward comfort is like leaves and flowers, beautiful but temporary. Inner stability is like the root, unseen but essential. In daily life, think of moments when you felt peaceful. Questions. Maybe you were sitting alone with your thoughts. Maybe you were speaking to someone who understands you. Maybe you were meditating, praying, or simply breathing consciously. Questions. These moments were peaceful not because the world outside became silent, but because the world inside did. Let's take a working professional as an example. Their schedule is packed. Questions. Responsibilities heavy, deadlines tight. One day they miss an important submission. Immediately stress kicks in. They go home frustrated, even though home is the coziest place. Questions. The comfort of the house cannot erase the discomfort of the mind. But suppose they sit down calmly, accept the mistake, create a plan to fix it, and forgive themselves. Within minutes, the storm inside begins to settle. Nothing outside changed. The workload is the same, the situation is the same. But the peace returned because stability returned. Questions. Now think of someone traveling in a crowded bus. People are pushing, honking, shouting. Yet inside, if the person plays their favorite music, breathes deeply, and chooses patience, questions, they automatically feel relaxed. The bus didn't become less crowded. The traffic didn't disappear. But the inner environment became gentle. And that changed everything. Questions. Life will never be perfectly calm. There will always be noise, responsibilities, challenges, expectations, and surprises. But the real question is, questions. Can you stay calm inside even when life is loud outside? If the answer is yes, then you have mastered the art of inner stability. Even in spirituality, we see these true questions. Great saints lived with minimal possessions. They didn't have luxury beds, air-conditioned rooms, or expensive vacations. Yet they radiated peace, joy, and contentment. Questions. Because their peace was not built outside, it was built inside. And what is built inside cannot be shaken easily. Inner stability means trusting yourself, trusting the process, questions, and trusting that not every battle must be fought with panic. When you are internally stable, you face problems with strength instead of stress. You respond instead of react. Questions. You breathe instead of break. And the most beautiful part, when the inside becomes peaceful, even ordinary moments feel extraordinary. A cup of tea tastes better. A walk feels refreshing. Questions. A conversation becomes meaningful. Sleep becomes deeper. Life becomes lighter. True relaxation is the art of mastering your inner world. Once you build stability within, no matter where you are, home, questions, work, travel, or chaos, you can remain centered, calm, and beautifully at peace. Questions. In life, one of the most powerful tools we possess is not strength, intelligence, or even experience. It is the ability to pause. A pause may look small, but it has the strength to prevent arguments, questions, stop regrets, protect relationships, and turn chaos into clarity. Yet when tough times strike, most people lose this ability first. We react instantly, sometimes harshly, sometimes emotionally, questions, sometimes foolishly, and later wish we had waited just a moment longer. Imagine a pressure cooker on the stove. When the heat rises, the cooker begins to whistle louder and faster. Questions. If someone tries to open it immediately, the hot steam bursts out dangerously. But if the flame is switched off and the cooker is allowed to cool down for a minute, question settles and it becomes safe to open. Our minds work the same way. Under emotional heat, stress, anger, fear, frustration, exhaustion, if we act immediately, we burst. But when we pause, questions, even briefly, the pressure inside us settles, allowing us to respond wisely rather than react instantly. Think about a time when you sent a message in anger. Minutes later, you read it again and think, questions, why did I say that? Or when you shouted at someone at home after a stressful day and later felt guilty. Or when you made a quick decision out of fear and later realized it was the wrong choice. Questions. All of these situations had one thing in common. You reacted too fast. A pause is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing at the right time. Here's a simple daily life example. Questions. Suppose you are driving and someone cuts in front of you. Your immediate instinct might be to honk loudly, shout, or overtake angrily. But if you pause for just 2 seconds, questions, you might realize the other driver could be dealing with an emergency, or maybe they simply made a mistake. Your pause prevents escalation. Your pause protects your peace. Questions. Or think about a parent dealing with a child throwing a tantrum. If the parent reacts instantly with irritation, shouting, or punishment, the situation escalates. But a small pause, a breath, questions, a moment to think, gives them the space to respond with understanding. The child calms down faster, the parent feels better, and the relationship grows instead of strained. Questions. We live in a world of speed, fast food, fast messages, fast decisions. But not everything requires instant reaction. When we slow down inside, life becomes calmer outside. Questions. Imagine boiling milk on the stove. If it starts rising and you panic, the milk will spill. But if you pause, switch off the flame calmly, and let it settle, the situation remains under control. Questions. Life also boils at times, through conflicts, deadlines, responsibilities, and emotional overwhelm. Without a pause, everything spills over. With a pause, everything becomes manageable. Questions. Let's look at an office scenario. Your boss sends an email criticizing your work, and immediately your heart starts beating faster. You want to reply instantly and defend yourself. Questions. But if you pause, take a walk, breathe, revisit the email after 10 minutes, you will respond with clarity instead of anger. That one pause can save your job, your reputation, and your state of mind. Questions. Another relatable example is arguments in relationships. Most relationships don't break because of big issues. They break because of tiny reactions. A misunderstanding leads to a sharp reply. Questions. A sharp reply leads to another. And within minutes, both sides are hurt. If just one person paused, took a breath, calmed the tone, softened the words, the entire atmosphere would change. Questions. A pause is powerful because it creates space between stimulus and response. That space is where maturity grows. That space where peace lives. That space is where your best self appears. Questions. You can test this right now. The next time someone irritates you, pause for one long deep breath. You'll notice your mind becomes clearer. Your emotions settle. Your reaction changes. Questions. the situation transforms. Think of your mind as a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the mud keeps swirling. But if you pause and keep the glass still, questions, the mud settles at the bottom and clarity appears on top. The pause didn't remove the mud, it simply allowed clarity to rise. Life works the same way. Problems don't disappear when you pause questions, but your ability to handle them becomes clearer. Let's take a spiritual example. Many monks and spiritual leaders take a small pause before answering questions. Even the question is simple questions. They close their eyes for a second. Why? Not because they don't know the answer, but because they want to respond from wisdom, not habit. That pause is their power. A pause can save relationships, questions, save careers, save mental health, and save you from unnecessary pain. When you pause, you act, not from emotion, but from awareness. You protect your peace instead of destroying it. Questions. Life gives you two choices in every difficult moment. React immediately or pause and respond wisely. Choose the pause. Questions. Because a 2-second pause today can save you from 2 years of regret tomorrow. Pause is not weakness. Pause is strength under control. Pause is wisdom in action. Pause is self-respect. Questions. And the most beautiful part, over time, this habit of pausing becomes your natural stability. You remain calm in storms, grounded in challenges, and thoughtful in chaos. Questions. Your inner world becomes peaceful. And once the inside becomes peaceful, relaxation naturally follows. You don't need long vacations to relax. Sometimes all you need is one beautiful pause. Questions. The way you speak to yourself shapes your inner world far more than the way anyone else speaks to you. Most people underestimate this truth. They think stress comes from situations, people, circumstances. But many times, the real stress comes from the harsh voice inside our own mind. We become our own critic, our own enemy, our own judge. And in tough times, questions. This inner voice can turn even more cruel. Imagine you drop a glass by mistake. What do you usually say to yourself? All questions. I'm so stupid. I can't do anything right. This is my problem. I always mess up. We speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we love. Questions. If your friend dropped a glass, you wouldn't say, "You're useless." You would smile and say, "It's okay, it happens." Then why don't we offer the same kindness to ourselves? Questions. Speaking to yourself with compassion does not mean ignoring your mistakes. It means acknowledging them gently, just as a gardener prunes a plant, not to hurt it, but to help it grow. Questions. Harsh self-talk crushes confidence. Compassionate self-talk builds strength. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall again and again. But the parents never shout, "Why can't you walk properly?" Questions. What is wrong with you? No, they clap, smile, motivate, and encourage her. Come on, you can do it. Because that loving tone creates courage. That encouragement becomes the child's backbone. Questions. Now imagine if the child had a voice inside saying, "I fell again. I'm terrible. I'll never learn." Would they stand up again? No, that is exactly what many adults do to themselves. Questions. One mistake, and we punish ourselves mentally for days. One failure, and we conclude we are not capable. One bad day, and we assume life will always be this way. Questions. But just like a child needs encouragement to walk, adults need compassion to heal. Consider a daily life example. You wake up late one morning, rush through your routine, skip breakfast, questions, and reach work feeling guilty and scattered. Your inner voice begins attacking you. Why are you always like this? You can't even wake up properly. Questions. Today is ruined. Now imagine another version of yourself, the compassionate one, saying, "It's okay. You are tired. You needed rest. You are still capable of having a good day." Questions. Take a deep breath, eat something small, and move forward. Which version helps you? Which version relaxes you? Which version makes your day better? Compassionate self-talk is not a luxury. Questions. It is a necessity. Let's look at a more emotional example. Suppose you had an argument with someone you love. After the argument, your mind starts replaying the conversation like a broken record. Questions. You tell yourself, I shouldn't have said that. I ruined everything. I always mess up relationships. The guilt becomes heavy. The heart becomes tense. You lose peace. Questions. But imagine if you spoke to yourself kindly. I'm human. I was emotional. I didn't intend to hurt anyone. I will apologize. I will communicate, and I will improve. Suddenly, the heart softens. Questions. The mind relaxes. The situation becomes solvable. Compassion creates clarity. Criticism creates confusion. Think of the way you talk to a friend who is struggling. You listen patiently. Questions. You encourage them. You say, don't worry, you will get through this. Now imagine speaking to yourself in the same way. Your inner world would transform. Questions. Another example, students facing exam stress. A student gets low marks and instantly says, I'm a failure. I'm useless. I'll never succeed. This destroys motivation. Questions. But imagine the same student saying, it's okay. Everyone struggles sometimes. I will learn from this and do better next time. This creates energy, hope, and progress. Questions. Compassionate self-talk is like giving water to a thirsty plant. Without it, the plant wilts. With it, the plant grows beautifully. Even in the workplace, compassionate self-talk is powerful. Questions. Suppose you made a mistake in a presentation. Your inner critic will say, everyone must think I'm an idiot. But your compassionate voice will say, it was one mistake. The rest went well. Questions. And you learned something valuable today. This shifts your mindset from shame to growth. Life becomes easier when you stop harming yourself with your own words. Your mind is like a garden. Questions. Your thoughts are like seeds. If you plant harshness, you grow fear. If you plant kindness, you grow confidence. Questions. One of the simplest ways to practice compassionate self-talk is to speak to yourself like you would speak to someone you deeply care about. Use words that heal, not words that hurt. Questions. The world is already full of pressure. Don't become another source of pressure for yourself. Become your own safe space. Another method is to use the power of gentle reminders. Instead of saying, questions, I can't do anything right, say, I'm learning. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I tried and I will try again. Instead of saying, life is too hard, say, questions. I can handle this step by step. The words have energy. And the words you say to yourself shape your inner world more than any external situation. When tough times strike, questions, you deserve your own kindness more than ever. Because compassionate self-talk builds inner relaxation. It calms the storm inside. It stabilizes emotions. It restores courage. Questions. And it gives you the strength to rise again. Remember, if you can be kind to others, you can be kind to yourself too. You deserve the compassion you so freely give to the world.